Welcome to the Irresistible Woman podcast, your place to learn how to attract the right man this year with confidence and ease. I'm your host, Madeline Charles, and I am really excited because this episode marks the start of something new we are doing here on the show, which is offering the podcast in video format. So, shout out if you are watching me right now on Spotify or YouTube, or if you're simply listening audio only as you have been for the past, 300 something episodes. I love that too. And I'm really excited to be venturing out in a new way and offering a new level of connection where you can receive this transmission through video. You can feel my energy maybe in a deeper way. I think in the age of AI right now, it's really refreshing just to be able to get a feel for someone's energy as best you can. And aside from the in person coaching opportunities I offer, this is like the next best thing. So, if you are connecting on video, I would love to know how it is for you. Any feedback you have, let me know where you're tuning in, how it's going, and I'm looking forward to continuing to roll this out. Okay, so I wanted to speak today to something that came up in conversation with someone over the week, as many of my podcast episodes are inspired by my conversations with women in my community. This incredible woman was sharing that she's a few months into a great relationship. Like they are very clear that this is their person. They are moving towards marriage. She knows that this is it for her. And she was asking me, how do I maintain this level of connection? How do I maintain the level of depth and intimacy and just goodness that's going on? And I thought that that was a really interesting question that I wanted to unpack here because it's a perfectly fine question. There's nothing wrong with maintaining. And I understand the spirit behind it, which is just like, how do I preserve the goodness here? How do I not move into self sabotage or doubt that it's going to work out or get funky and push them away. Some of these things that can happen as we are progressing further into a relationship, even though we know, like, oh my gosh, this is everything I've ever wanted. Sometimes still past patterns and discomfort around what I call your intimacy threshold, it can still pop up. So there's nothing wrong with maintaining. And yet I feel I would be remiss not to challenge us a little bit in our language and how we are thinking about what it means to maintain because maintain is just maintaining. It's just status quo, it's staying where it is. And even if you feel like you're in a really great place, I think there's something to be said about opening up a question of how much better can it get? And not from a place of it's not good enough right now. I always need more. Like I just am always striving for the next level. That's not necessarily it. We're never opening up to more from a place of lack, but instead saying, this is fantastic. I'm so grateful. I'm so good here. And just by nature of my feminine evolution, by nature of being growth minded, by nature of just continually wanting to open to what else could be, yeah, I'm going to be looking towards how do we go even deeper? And I can have part of me anchored in gratitude and fulfillment, in feeling so content. And I can have another part of me that's like, I wonder how much better it could get. I wonder where we go from here. How do we build on the foundation we've already laid? So, from that lens, maintaining, it's like, I guess we could for a little bit, but what else? What's waiting for you on the other side of opening up to that deeper level of intimacy, connection, devotion, pursuit, romance, security, provision, these beautiful parts of a relationship. And that's the inquiry I wanted to bring today's episode because, regardless of if you're currently partnered or not, I think this is going to be relevant to you. Just in the spirit of growing, right? And not stagnating ourselves in the way that we think. Again, maintenance, sometimes we need maintenance because we're like, I just literally can't fathom opening up to more. And that's often an intimacy threshold thing where we're like, I just can't even, like, I can't, like, I'm just in survival mode almost. I'm going through the motions, I'm just maintaining where I'm at. But as soon as that feels normalized and you're like, wow, maybe I'm a few months into my relationship and I've normalized the fact that we're seeing each other a few times a week. I've normalized the fact that we are now living together. Like that was an edge. I've normalized the fact that we are talking about marriage and we're taking concrete steps in that direction, whatever it might be. Then suddenly your system is going to interpret whatever you've been managing and be like, okay, now we're ready for more. What's next? Where do we go from here? So that's really what we are up to here today. And again, even if you're single, you're not currently in partnership, I think just having this frame can really set you up to go beyond your current perceived limits, to ask where you are still just going through the motions rather than exploring where you are called to expand to next. So, with that in mind, I have three different facets of growth that I encourage you to focus on to reach those deeper levels of intimacy. All of this is in the spirit of cultivating polarity. Polarity is simply feminine masculine attraction. This is the thing that builds chemistry. And it's easy to have that in the early stages of dating, right? When you first meet someone and butterflies are kicking and you just feel like you're on the edge of your seat. And if we're not intentional about cultivating polarity, we can slide into just too much familiarity, too much of, oh, we're just going through the motions. This is just how things look day to day. And before you know it, it's like, oh, now I just feel like I'm living with a roommate. Like the romance has totally died out. It feels like we're just kind of flatlined. Like there's not a lot of sexual spark happening here. So polarity is super essential to create the type of connection that you're likely looking for. And it can be brought about in simple ways. It's not about a complete overhaul. It's not about uh, having to do this whole show and dance around it, but I wanted to offer three different areas for you to focus to go deeper in your relationship, to touch the edges of what you believe is possible. And these are things that I'm constantly focused on within my own marriage. And it's just a really fun exploration when you approach relationships in this way. So, the first area to focus to deepen your connection is presence. So simple and often so overlooked. Again, when we are with someone that we know really well, we know their quirks, we know their habits, their routines, they know ours, and we're just kind of like day in and day out with them, we sometimes can lose that sense of presence and awe and wonder and curiosity about our partner. So I know especially high achieving women often struggle with this because there can be this sense of like, I'm just taking my guy for granted. Like, yeah, he's great, but I'm going to be focused on work now. Or, oh, we'll just have our one date night a week and like that'll be our time to drop in. But outside of that, like, we're just kind of cruising along. But realizing the moment that you've kind of taken your partner for granted is the moment you've pushed him away. And the moment you feel like you've got your guy figured out and you're not really curious about him anymore and you're not trying to learn and you are instead like sitting across from him at dinner, but you're feeling distracted. You're still thinking about that email that you got to get back to. You're still thinking about that work thing that came up. You're still running the to-do list in your head, right? Like energetically, the connection starts to chip away and erode. So coming back into presence, the same amount of presence that you had on that first date, right? When you go on a first date and you're like, I am super present, I am super aware, like I am very in tune with what's happening moment to moment, right? Like there's a part of us that is really awake and tracking and like noticing everything. And as we slide into the comfort of committed relationships, sometimes we lose that. So, my encouragement for you is to bring back presence. Ask yourself, how is my guy doing these days? Like, do I really have a pulse on that? Do I have a pulse on his dreams, his desires, the things that he's pursuing right now? Do I have a pulse on things that he might be needing from me or elsewhere? Like, how is he feeling supported? What are ways that I could pour into him? And likewise, am I being present enough with him to give him those insights as well? Am I trying to just go through the motions, acting like everything's cool, but actually there's something that's been kind of emotionally weighing on me that I haven't clued him into? Is there a part of me that's felt a little bit distracted and unplugged from him? And I need to kind of admit that, right? And say, hey, I haven't really been giving you my all, and I'm aware of that and I want to apologize and like I'm here with you now, right? That can be really reconnecting because we're just owning the truth of what is real. And it's never about not losing sight, right? You might realize, wow, I've been really wrapped up in work, or gosh, I've been really preoccupied with this family dynamic going on, or gosh, my health has required a little bit more attention from me these days. I see that, and I want you to know that I'm still here with you. So I think you just even giving yourself that permission to say, hey, like I maybe have gotten a little bit off track from us. I'm aware, but here I am coming back. Reigniting the connection is always available to you, but it requires that sense of presence and really to value presence within yourself, presence with him, presence just like as a way of being, which is challenging in modern day life where we have a million things, our phones pinging us. We've got this thing popping up on the computer. We've got a call we got to jump on. Like we've got to like run around here and there. Like our daily culture is not built for a lot of presence, but it's something that you can choose to uphold as a standard for yourself. And especially in your long term relationship, it's going to go such a long way for you to continue having a pulse on your guy and also for him to have a pulse on you. When we have drifted so far apart energetically and emotionally, where we're maybe physically in the same space, but we're not really there together, that doesn't lead us anywhere good. Like we can only operate from that place for so long. So, what's really cool about you owning presence as a feminine being is that you have that intuition, you have that discernment, you have that internal antenna energetically that's like, wait a minute, okay, I feel like I'm drifting from my guy. I feel like I haven't been as in tune with him. I feel like I've been distant. Okay, let me notice that within my body. Notice how it feels to be closed off. Notice how it feels to feel like you've been drifting. Notice the yearning, the desire to bring that closeness back in. Recognize it, honor it, speak to it, and then act from it. Okay, so that's the first piece is presence. The second one is pleasure. Yes. So I think sometimes, again, speaking to what it's like in early dating, it's like, woo, the chemistry is off the charts. Like everything feels good, everything feels intense. Like that first kiss, the first time you have physical intimacy, like everything is just like heightened sensory wise, right? And then again, as we kind of get settled into our daily lives with this person, we sometimes can get stuck in these rigid roles or expectations of ourselves and our partner. And we sometimes can feel like, oh, this is just our routine. This is just our sex life. Like these are the motions we go through. This is just what it means. Like these are what our date nights always look like. This is just our one dimensional way of connecting, right? This is our conversation every night when he gets home from work. And it can feel like it's just lost the pleasure. It's lost the oomph. So this is similar to what I was saying with the first point around presence, but when you are open to evolution and continually asking, how much better can it get? What else is available here for us? It allows you to stretch your edges around pleasure. And especially as a woman who is evolving hormonally and just spiritually and energetically, things that maybe once filled your pleasure tank, maybe they're not quite hitting in the same way. And that's okay. But can you bring in this sense of curiosity, exploration to say, hey, like, how are we doing around this? How am I doing in terms of filling pleasure up within myself individually, just in my own self care, my own routines, but also between us? Have we just been going through the motions? Do things feel a little bit stale? And what might open up for us if we have an open line of communication around what feels good, what works? I know in my own life, this has been a really cool thing that we've continued developing, Sean and I, where it's like, oh, like the way things maybe looked in this realm at the start of a relationship look quite different now because we've been willing to say, what would feel good for you here and now, not what worked last month, last year, whatever. Can we have that open dialogue to be an exploration and to realize that pleasure sometimes is a moving target as you age, as you grow, as your preferences shift, as you get to know yourself better, right? And when everything is on the table and nothing is off limits, then you are able to be in this beautiful place of high capacity for pleasure. And of course, we also know that for women to have pleasure sexually, emotionally, energetically, in all the ways, we need presence. So it really comes back to that first point in so many ways. If we don't feel present, if we're distracted, disconnected from our bodies, just feeling numb, shut down, um, wired but tired, that whole thing, it's going to be even more challenging to get into a pleasurable state. So these things all are intertwined, but pleasure is the second thing for you to continue reaching those deeper levels of intimacy. Now, the third one here, I couldn't help myself making these all P's, all P words. The third one is play. And this is about, again, keeping things feeling fresh in your relationship. If there's one thing you take from this episode, I want you to remember that polarity, the sexual chemistry, the spark, the feeling of this being a romantic partnership, not simply roommates, it hinges on you not just going through the motions. It hinges on you having, yes, the certainty, the consistency, the predictability, the safety, but also the novelty, the adventure, the newness, the parts of your relationship that don't just feel like they are so logistical, right? It's not just about like who's cooking dinner tonight and who's taking out the trash and who's walking the dog and whatever, all of that. It's really about how do we have fun as two humans together, right? How do we inject a sense of newness? How do we feel that novelty for things that aren't just part of our regular routine? And this does take intentionality because there's so much on our plates. It can be easy to feel like, oh, like I just don't have time for that. Like, who has time to play? Who has time for fun things, right? And it might, like I said, get you into this place of like, oh, we just have our one date night a week. We just go to dinner and that's what it is. And that's fine. But you infusing play is a gift to you. It's a gift to him. It's a gift to the whole connection. And this can be done in very simple ways. If you've listened to the podcast, you may have heard me share like one of my favorite ways to infuse play is just by changing up my outfit at the end of the day, right? To signify to myself that I am off work, I am shutting the laptop, I'm going to maybe slip into something sexy. Like that feels fun. That feels playful. Um, for Sean and I to get out to nature, that's something that is really nourishing for both of us. Being able to be on a hike and just take a deep breath of that mountain air, observe the trees, watch the clouds, like just be in that state of wonder, awe, and gratitude really fills that play need up as well. And then novelty. I know that we've been guilty of our date nights all looking the same, all just being going to dinner and then coming home. And that's cool. But we've really tried to challenge ourselves. It's like, hey, let's go to a comedy show. Let's go to an art exhibit. Let's go to something else that's popping up around town that's not just like sitting across from each other at a restaurant, because sitting across from each other is inherently, it's like there's just like a one-dimensional energy there, right? But when you are moving your body, when you're experiencing something new for the first time together, when you are in an experiential exercise, it brings out different sides of you and it can reconnect you in ways that have maybe been missing. And even if you're like that woman I spoke to earlier this week that was like, everything's great, like, I just want it to stay like this, you don't necessarily have to employ these recommendations from a state of exacerbation and like, oh gosh, I'm losing my connection with my guy. These are things that are seriously just like the cherry on top that are going to take it from good to great, great to exceptional. And then I would say, to continue expanding, these are areas that you want to just have on your radar continually. It's going to fill you up. It's going to fill him up. It's going to make for the most fulfilling, nourishing relationship you can have. So, presence, pleasure, and play. These are the three ingredients to continue creating the relationship of your dreams. I hope this episode was supportive. I would love to hear from you for our first video session. So exciting. And of course, all the ways to connect are in the show notes. Uh, I just want to highlight real quick, if this is something that you recognize is an area that you want to deepen into, I would love to support you in cultivating the most incredible relationship you've ever had. There are several ways to do that. you can sign up for the waitlist right now for the Irresistible Woman Essentials, my high touch 12-week life coaching experience. I will reach out and let you know when doors open to that again. And that coaching container actually includes 2 free tickets to my live in person 3-day coaching event happening this fall in Denver, Colorado, called the Irresistible Woman Activation Live. So, the 12-week course includes 2 free tickets, but if you just want to grab a ticket a la carte, you certainly can. Doors are open for that fall event right now. You can go to the show notes and grab your ticket there as well. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening. I love you. Until next time, keep shining your love light, and bye for now.